Something else just happened. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird turnaround, but yeah, that was a hell of a game. And then Sunday for pro football, man, the Chiefs.
You know what, man? I keep up with the scores, but ever since all that kneeling shit happened, and I just have not. It just took the fire out of me for the NFL. I haven't really watched a ball game since, and I hate it because I love football, dude. And me, hardcore Packers, and the Packers are doing well this year.
Yeah, they are.
But I mean, I love the green and the gold, But man, I just can't. It took that fire out of me. I'm just not as immersed in the NFL as I used to be.
Well, this Patrick Mahomes, and he played football for Baylor. And what's
any quarterback that can throw a no-look pass?
Oh my God! And he's so good at it, and he can throw on the run, and he can run the football, and you look at him in a picture, and he looks still like he's got a baby face.
Yeah,
But one cool thing about Patrick Mahomes or Pat Mahomes is I have his dad's rookie card from the Minnesota Twins.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
because his dad was.
Yeah,
well, I saw them interview some defensive backs about the no-look pass, and they were like, "How do you defend against?
You
that?
Can't.
I mean, what are we supposed to do?"
That's the genius of it. Linemen generally will, and also some of your forward secondary will look at the quarterback's eyes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that's where the quarterback's going to throw. You can see the quarterback looking and tracking, and once he focuses on something and stays on it for a second, they know that's where he's going to go. And so they start running that way. Not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, did you see where they sent Brett Favre out with him to try to do the no-look pass? And he just like, kid does this. I mean.
Yeah. Brett's like, I got nothing.
Apparently he's been doing it since high school. Like, I guess he went to his high school coach and was like, hey, check this out. I got this kind of wired. And he was like, yeah, right. Sure you do. And he showed him and was like, okay, let's sit down and let's draft up some plays. Okay, we can use this.
Sure
but
enough.
He's definitely perfected it since he's gotten the NFL.
And cool on his upbringing too. They, rumor has it he's a pretty quiet person outside of the stadium, and rumor has it that he's pretty generous guy too. He takes his linemen out to eat. Takes
there's
real
a
good
reason
care
he
of
can
his,
still walk around.
Yeah, takes his linemen out and feeds them whatever. I mean, dinners are a couple $1,000.
Well, you see stories every now and then about giving their linemen like Rolexes, taking care of those dudes. Because, I mean, not so much like it used to be, but I mean, playing the line's kind of like an unsung position. You don't get a lot of credit. You don't get a lot of credit for the stuff you actually are doing.
And unless you're a first round draft lineman, you don't make a great deal of money either.
No.
It is very, very, very unsung. But
so it's cool to watch. It's cool to hear about quarterbacks taking care of those dudes.
Oh, absolutely, and that's kind of why I like watching Kansas City. Kansas City kind of brought me back a little bit to football. I'm still a Chicago Bears fanatic. I love my Bears, and I will always remain a Bears fan. But Kansas City, watching them play football and actually winning, I'm not used to doing that as a Chicago Bear, so it's kind of cool to watch their second.
Yeah, that Kansas City-Denver rivalry is always a good one.
Always has been. There's a bunch of rivalries out there, but that one's a big one for sure.
Well, speaking of rivalries, bud, Packers-Bears, that's a good rivalry.
Packers-Bears is a great rivalry. And do you know who was in I think it was the first Super Bowl? I think
Packers and Bears?
No, I think it was Packers in Kansas City.
Oh, no, you're right. That's a true story. Yeah, you're right.
And it could possibly end up that way again this year.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
We'd definitely have to get together and grill up some culinary chaos for that game because I know you like the Packers and I've started to like the Chiefs quite a bit. Although I think the colors are horrendous. The red and yellow just clash so badly, but that navy blue and orange is so much better. If I could just get all those guys and move them to Chicago.
Well, you'd have it made then.
Yeah, then we'd be okay. Then we'd be okay. I don't know what they got to give to Mahomes for quarterback. If they got to give him $20 million a year, go buy him. You got the money. Chicago, go get him, please. And thank
Hey,
you.
you know what? You know what I want to do? Not to away from football. I just don't know much about the. I want to give a shout out to Podcast Laney, dude.
Mm-hmm.
She dropped a new episode in the past couple of days that I listened to, and I want to give it to this chick, man, because you talk about somebody that's got a podcast that they are going totally transparent and putting
Puts it out there.
Man, I got so much respect for her, man. Like, for somebody to say, yeah, not only do I have stories of the shit that's happened in my life and how I've done things different and how things are different for me now and the mistakes I made along the way, and just be so brutally honest. I mean, god damn, I got some respect for her, man. I think that is so fucking cool that she's able to be that comfortable and do that.
Well, the vast majority of people that are bipolar will never admit that they're bipolar.
No.
And not only does Laney do that, you know, she breaks down the hows and whys and what, you know, when she's feeling this way and when she's feeling that way, because bipolar means exactly that. You have two poles, you know. You got super happy and super depressed.
I've listened to her episodes when she brings them out, and I'm taken back. Like, for somebody to be that brutally honest, I just have so much respect for that. And she has always been a supporter of this show, and and not only the show, man, 420 Eat, she's been behind anything we do. She's always been behind, and to see her coming into her own, because this is like the second this is like 2.0 for her.
Yeah.
Like, she started a podcast, and it didn't kind of work out the way she wanted. She regrouped, and she's doing it on her own now, and I think it's better than before. And like I said, man, to see somebody be that honest about their life and just put it out there for people to listen to and take something away from that, from listening to her, man, props to her, man. Just, Laney, I know you listen to the show. Keep pressing on, girl. You are doing impressive things, and I promise you, I know this for a fact based on the quotes that I put out in the mornings on Instagram. You are touching people that you will never know that you're affecting them. So keep doing what you're doing. Once in a blue moon, I get a message from somebody that I made them think, or they needed to hear a certain quote that I put out. I promise you, those people are coming to you eventually. Keep doing what you're doing, because you are affecting people in a positive way, and I'm going to support anybody doing that.
Absolutely. Just get up there, search Podcast P. Laney.
She's on Podbean and Spreaker now.
And YouTube.
Yeah. So, man, I mean, hitting those two platforms, Podbean and Spreaker, yeah, man, that's a big step for her. So I'm glad to see her making moves, man.
Faux show. Man, I tell you, this past week has been one that was really rough on me. Friday, I got some news that probably my biggest musical influence on the planet had died, from a band who made me start loving rock music back.
Are you talking about the drummer from Rush?
Yeah, man, that hit me hard. You know, he's the one guy. You listen to any of their songs that are on radio play, he's the one guy that everybody breaks out their air drum sticks in their air drum kit and air drums to. And he's gone. And for me, it was like the day the music died. I loved Rush. Huh? Oh my God. I've seen him 5 times in concert. I have every single album. And when I say album, I've got their stuff on vinyl from back in the day.
Wow.
Not only that, I've got them, you know, on my phone as well. I know just about every song forward and backward, lyrics too. It just, you know, they influenced me musically more so than any other band or any other music group, singer, musician. You know, for a 3-piece band to put out music is insane. Now, for me, I loved them. And Rush is one of those very polar bands. And when I say polar band, kind of funny we get off of a bipolar and now we're just on single polar. But one of those polar bands that either you loved them or you hated them.
Yeah.
There was really not much in between because their music was kind of weird.
I'll be honest with you, dude. I'm not a fan of Rush. I do respect the musicians they are. I'm not a fan of any Rush albums.
Yeah, again, like, you know, it's very polar, and the fan base, you know, Rush fan base is probably the most loyal fan base of any music, but you know, it's not a huge fan base because a lot of people didn't like them. You know, their album 2112 was more like a musical opera than it was an
Well,
album.
Queen did that. I mean, there's a bunch of. Yeah, I had no idea about that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you were a huge.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the first gift that Shandy ever gave me was a new CD for Exit Stage Left. It was one of their live albums. And she was looking for something to get me for my birthday the first year we were dating. And I told her that I was a Rush fan. And, of course, she said, who? So she's not a fan, but she went out and found that CD and bought it for me for my birthday. So,
Oh, right on.
yeah, that was kind of a big deal for me and a big day for me. And you know, a lot of my buddies who love Rush are feel the exact same way as me. You know, they're just absolutely crushed. You know, there was a lot of people out there who loved Tom Petty's music so much that when he died, they just broke down and lost their shit. And I didn't lose my shit, but I broke down pretty good because, man, you know, that no more new songs for air drumming too. You know, that's just going to suck. But such is life, you know. You live and you die. And he had a brain tumor called a glioblastoma. And,
Wait, back up. You just said Tom Petty.
yeah.
That's his name?
No. I was mentioning Tom Petty as in, like, Tom Petty had his fans that just absolutely loved him too. And
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, when
I was like, wait a minute, I didn't.
Yeah, when he died, you know, a lot of those fans lost their shit too.
Yeah.
You know, it was a rough day. Chris Cornell, same way. But you know, this was my Chris Cornell and Tom Petty and
Kurt Cobain
and everybody else put into one.
Elvis.
You know? He was, man, he was my Elvis. Although this guy didn't sing, what people don't realize much is he was the one that wrote 90% of the lyrics.
I actually read that when that was like on Twitter. I actually read that. So yeah, that he was the main lyricist for the band.
Yeah, he was a huge bookworm and read all the time. And so, you know, he was just, when it came to being a wordsmith, he was just that much smarter. He retained it because he
kind of like the Eminem of that genre.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. He was the Eminem of classic rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was out there. Rush is out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was different.
I kind of feel like Rush is one of those bands that they've always struck me as like you got to be tripping on acid to really appreciate what they're doing. You know, it's just how their music struck me.
Yeah, you know, if you're
like Pink Floyd's the same way. You got to be tripping on acid to really appreciate what Pink Floyd is doing.
Well, for me, Rush.
Not that I've ever tripped on acid, but I mean,
Rush is a degree past Pink Floyd because Pink Floyd, their music was out there, but they didn't have a lot of time signature changes. And Rush,
they were known for that.
Any given Rush song, you're going to go from 4/4 to 3/3 to 7/4 to 9/4 to 2/4 to 2/2 to 4/4 to 6/4. I mean, it's just all over the place. And
yeah, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Well, yeah. When it
sounds impressive as shit.
Yeah,
but
when you're slapping your hands and clapping to the music, and all of a sudden you realize you're not on beat with the music, well, that's because it had
time change,
signature change, right? So, speaking of signatures, I think I'm gonna sign myself out of this podcast.
We're wrapping this one up, huh? Man, that's a fast episode, man. I think Donnie only got through 2 beers in that episode, so.
Well, and thanks to our sponsor, St. John Medical Systems, for the great laughs that they gave us.
Thank you, Ascension Health.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you to Em and Han, the Chili Bowl.
Yeah. I'll tell you, who our sponsors are, man. Our sponsors are the listeners, man. Thank you guys for coming back every week. Garbage that we do.
Yeah, for sure. We we tend to have a little too much fun, and it shows. You know, and you guys call back and or write back and say, "Hey, man, that was so funny," and we're like, "What? What was funny?" Literally, I'm not kidding you. Our podcast is nothing but a small extension of a normal conversation that Shiner and I have just about each and every day.
Oh yeah, one of us will call the other one on the phone, and this is what happens.
It is. As a matter of fact, we could probably put together one hell of a long ass podcast if we just record our phone calls.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or conversations if it comes out right. Conversation.
Well, poor Donnie would be